Since the birth of the world in the primordial chaos, the great Tao of heaven and earth has already existed. It governs the laws of the world, the changes of all things. Under this heavenly Tao, the world has undergone 2 epochs. In the first era, the heavens were split, and the earth was born. Strong individuals abound, and in this world, people work hard to cultivate in order to reach a stage surpassing the heavenly Tao. But sentient beings are greedy and selfish, not only plundering the spiritual roots of heaven and earth, but also trying to seek primordial power from the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao is awakened by the greed of the world, greatly disappointed in sentient beings. In the end, it results in the first. The heavens decree the annihilation of all life, followed by the second era. The world is divided into 3 realms: celestial realm, human realm, earthly realm. The divided regions are no longer common. The west is controlled by deities. The east is managed by immortals. But the earthly realm is lacking, thus turning into a land of death, with mountains of bones piling up and restless spirits. The accumulated wandering ghosts. Although the human realm is situated between the 2, the strong can transcend and ascend to the celestial realm. But the weak can only fall into the earthly abyss and reincarnate. However, the strong ones from the first era were not completely eliminated. Some were reincarnated as humans, some remain hidden to this day, some died and were resurrected, and some even emerged directly from the void. And they all have a common goal, which is to embark on the path to ascension and challenge the lofty heavenly Tao above. But when the heavenly Tao wakes up and finds out, it is furious. It commands the heavenly thunder to descend directly. Thus, the second. The heavens decree the annihilation of all life. Now the world has entered the third era, and thousands of years have passed to this day. The male protagonist's name is Vast Sky. He immediately interrupted my spellcasting and said, "All right, stop being so verbose." In short, the current situation is that the previous generation of heavenly Tao has vanished, and I am the newly appointed heavenly Tao, right? Vast Sky is actually a time traveler. He was given such a high status right after his first time travel. The system said, "You are the chosen heavenly Tao and possess unlimited power in this world." Vast Sky walked and pondered. Why did the former heavenly Tao always resort to the use of force to solve problems? The system replied, "Don't you think that force is the best way to solve problems?" Vast Sky shook his head and said, "Force cannot solve all problems, it can only solve enemies." Napoleon once said that the strong draw their swords against the stronger, and the weak draw their swords against the weaker. I will not repeat the low-level mistakes of my predecessor, Heavenly Tao. At this moment, a passerby next to him wondered what was wrong with this person. Why was he talking to himself alone? Suddenly, a giant dragon flew down from the sky towards Vast Sky. An enormous dragon in the sky flew towards our male lead, Vast Sky. The passers-by around shouted loudly, "It's actually a 4th-rank flying dragon! Everyone, run away quickly!" In this world, there exist ranks from 1st to 5th rank. Above 5th rank are semi-deity, true deity, divine king stage, divine emperor stage, celestial heaven-defying stage, and also heaven-defying king stage. Vast Sky seems quite weak when you put it this way. So, he pulled out a golden unidentified object from his ear. He flicked it casually. With a loud bang, the big mountain behind the flying dragon was unexpectedly hit with a large hole, which scared the dragon into turning around and running away in a hurry. Vast Sky confidently stated, "Even the heaven-defying king stage can't withstand 3 moves in front of me, let alone you little flying dragon." At this time, the system interjected saying, "Didn't you say that the strong draw their blades against the stronger?" "I just scared him a little, I didn't actually attack him." The system asked again, "So you don't plan to use force against Heaven Defier either?" "I want to try to negotiate as much as possible. I can't destroy the world again, right? My bloodline of Yin and Huang, which loves peace, wouldn't agree to that. And I just crossed over here less than an hour ago. I know nothing about this world, don't understand the situation. How can I handle the heavenly Tao? Just saying." Vast Sky has already arrived at the edge of a town. Let's start the first stop of the inspection from here. On the way there, Vast Sky saw a large iron cage on a cart. In the iron cage, curled up inside were many young girls shackled with iron chains. There were 2 people sitting on the cart. One of them said, "This time we are going hunting, and we found a top-quality fairy. The noble gentlemen in the city are all eager to have her." At this time, a cart passed by Vast Sky. Another person, casually looking at Vast Sky's appearance, asked, "Hey, is this young man? Are you interested in our slaves here? Just 10 gold coins, and you can freely choose a slave to take home. These are all freshly captured, very fresh. We have war prisoners from various countries, innocent village women, and young boys that can be trained from childhood." Vast Sky looked at the slaves in the cage with a celestial eye and suddenly opened it. The slaves all seemed lifeless, but the hard-working merchant, noticing that Vast Sky showed no reaction, continued to promote his goods. He then said, "I have a rare and precious item here." Subsequently, he led Vast Sky to the back of the ox cart. He lifted the coarse cloth and took a look. Inside, there was a person curled up. A fair and beautiful elf maiden. Just then, a pitiful-looking elf maiden gazed at the carter beside Vast Sky and quickly explained, "This is the elven race, only found in the western continent. You can have her for just 1,000 gold coins. She is definitely worth the price. Once you miss this opportunity, you won't find this shop again." Vast Sky remained silent for a while, then turned and walked away. The coachman said disdainfully, "So he's just a penniless fellow. I wasted so much time explaining to him." Vast Sky walked and pondered, thinking that human trafficking in this world is even more backward than feudal rule. The system asked, "Why don't you set these slaves free? It doesn't fit your character." Vast Sky explained that even if they were set free, what difference would it make? "This doesn't solve the problem at all." He pointed to the slave shop on the side. "There are at least hundreds of slaves in such shops. These kinds of shops are everywhere on the mainland. How many can I set free again? If I want to solve the problem, I have to eradicate it from the root." Then he pushed the door and walked in. Immediately, he saw a serving boy coming up to greet him and saying with a smile, "Welcome, guest. What kind of slaves do you need?" "The slaves we have here are all trained by the merchant guild to ensure they won't escape. If one escapes, we will compensate you tenfold. Even if you release them, they will not leave you." Vast Sky stepped forward and looked at the girl, asking, "Do you want to obtain freedom?" The girl looked at Vast Sky and shook her head. "Do you have someone you love? Do you want to be a free person, or continue to be a slave here?" The girl said with a dark expression, "I just want to be the master's slave." Vast Sky sighed after listening, and said to the serving boy beside him, "Take me to the box." After arriving at the box, the serving boy asked Vast Sky to wait a moment. He would go and notify someone to bring exclusive goods for him. After the serving boy left, Vast Sky shouted, "The system has activated the programming rules. Get ready to start." I didn't expect that his first attempt after crossing over would be to abolish slavery. If you become the Heavenly Dao, you can freely change the rules of this world. What rules would you add? Vast Sky pondered for a moment and said, "All beings below 5th rank. Any actions involving human trafficking by anyone, including humanoid beings, will trigger the rule. The rule is as follows. Whenever a human trafficker is about to engage in trafficking, a black shadowy figure will appear. This figure possesses power far beyond that of the trafficker, and gives a silent warning. The system has a doubt at this time. Why does it have to be below the 5th rank?" Vast Sky replied naturally, "Above the 5th rank are immortals. Would they still engage in human trafficking after becoming immortals? Have they no shame?" Vast Sky continued, "If the first warning is ineffective, the human trafficker should stop their trafficking activities. And before eliminating the thoughts, the dark shadow will attack the trafficker until they die or stop their trafficking activities and thoughts. The system prompts that new rules are being formulated. please define the trafficking behavior. Vast Sky paused for a moment and described it as using violence, coercion, and other means to force others to be sold as commodities to others in exchange for money, goods, or other rewards. This behavior is limited to human and humanoid life forms, excluding beasts and demonic beasts. He also added that if the slaves are willing, then it should not be intervened. After a beep, Vast Sky pressed the button. The system popped up. Rules activated. At this moment, this world is undergoing earth-shaking changes. Just then, the serving boy arrived with several young girls in front of Vast Sky. The serving boy said, "Dear guest, these have all been carefully selected for you, but the prices might be a bit high. However, for you." Before the serving boy could finish, a dark figure suddenly appeared behind him. The serving boy turned around and immediately collapsed in fear on the ground. He pointed at the dark figure and said to Vast Sky, "Sir, can you see this?" Vast Sky smirked crookedly and replied, "Of course I can see it." But at this moment, a large crack suddenly appeared on the wall beside them. With a loud bang, the wall was actually broken open, and a man flew out with injuries all over his body. The serving boy's face turned pale at first sight. He is one of the captains of the security team in our guild. He has the strength of second rank. I wonder what kind of opponent he encountered to make him so embarrassed and miserable. At this moment, a dark figure walked out of the cave. The captain of the security team said angrily, "Damn it, this guy looks just as handsome as me, but his strength is so much stronger than mine. This guest, please leave first. I cannot guarantee your safety." Vast Sky smiled and said, "Don't worry. There's no one in this world who can hurt me." Upon hearing the head of the security team, he immediately exerted force. "Then, I won't be responsible for you anymore." The Black Shadow is also ready for battle. The two immediately started struggling with each other. But due to the difference in strength, the captain of the security team was defeated one after another. The dark figure found the right moment, directly using a move called Leon's Slash. With a loud crash, the sword of the head of the security team broke into two halves, and he was also sent flying. The dark figure walked up to the head of the security team. The captain was so scared that he was trembling all over and shouted, "Don't come any closer!" What surprised them was that the dark figure didn't make a move, but instead turned around and walked towards the slave girls. With a swift motion, he raised his hand, and the knife fell with a swish. The handcuffs and ankle shackles of the girls were instantly cut in half. The captain of the security team looked perplexed. Vast Sky stepped forward this time and explained, "I see now. These shadows are probably not trying to kill you, but rather to rescue the slaves." The scene suddenly changed, with chaos and confusion below. The people were already in disarray due to the sudden appearance of the shadows. The boss upstairs doesn't care about these things. He was infuriated by the sight of the slaves running out trembling. But what he doesn't know is, a dark shadow has appeared behind him as well. The dark shadow gave the boss a big slap and knocked him straight to the ground. Now he's lying on the floor. The boss is still thinking about his money flying away. At this moment, Vast Sky seemed to sense something and turned to look. Just then, a girl was seen respectfully crouching behind. This girl is named Azure Sky. Azure Sky respectfully crouched down. She said, "My lord, I finally found you." At this time, they were already in a tea house within the city. Vast Sky was leisurely drinking tea and saying, "Didn't I tell you not to follow us?" A brushing sound beside them. Azure Sky appeared and said, "I am here to follow my master. I humbly request my master to allow me to travel the land with you." Vast Sky did not even think about it, and directly refused. Azure Sky was stunned on the spot as soon as he heard it. With tears in her eyes, she asked, "Why?" "My lord, please don't abandon your subordinate. Subordinates can improve any shortcomings and make changes until the master is satisfied." Vast Sky listened and scratched his head, saying, "All right, I really can't do anything with you." He asked, How do you view Heavenly Dao today? Azure Sky replied. Both Heavenly Dao and Azure Sky are unreasonable people. They have been killing each other due to greed, whether it was in the first era or the second era. Vast Sky replied. Indeed, at the beginning of the second era, those surviving powerful figures from the first era managed to excavate the world's spiritual vein before it revived at the third rank and placed it into their own small realms. Their actions were nothing but killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. Azure Sky immediately understood. That's why you, my lord, chose to eliminate them. When gods perish and demons fall, eons rush by in fleeting thrall. Through endless time, eternity sings, only heaven eternal reigns supreme. You, my lord, are the eternal ruler of the three realms. The vast sky barely smiles. That's not necessarily the case. Although I am invincible in one-on-one combat, if facing a group fight, even the Heavenly Dao would struggle to withstand it. Alright, time is pressing. We still have important matters to attend to. The vast sky walks out of the inn. He walks while summoning the system, wanting to see the current results. The implementation of the rules is going very smoothly. Is my plan still very successful? Azure Sky has a question at this point. Under your command, there is a problem. Clearly, you have the ability to allow everyone to obtain endless wealth and eliminate all oppression and class distinctions. Why do you still need to use the dark shadows to eliminate slavery? Vast Sky became angry and slapped Azure Sky on the head. Are you an idiot? Doesn't that mean I'm asking everyone to revert back to the primitive society? The existence of the Heavenly Dao is to maintain order. What I am doing now is just correcting the distorted and damaged status quo, not overthrowing the operation of society. The responsibility of the so-called Heavenly Dao should be to pave the way for people. Overall consideration of everything, guiding everything. I must do what humans cannot do. This is the true meaning of the Heavenly Dao. In a world where white exists, black is inevitable. Extremes are not desirable. Do you understand, Azure Sky? With her seemingly intelligent eyes, it appears as if she is telling Vast Sky that she has understood. At this moment, Vast Sky looked to the side, where a girl was giving alms to a beggar, but there was also a little boy peeking from the window beside her. Vast Sky said, "Isn't this an example right here? But in order to prevent you from messing around, I'll still hide it from you first." Just as the thief grabbed the girl's wallet, Vast Sky reminded from the side, "Miss, I advise you to pay more attention to your wallet when giving alms." The girl quickly turned and looked at the thief, and she gave a high kick. The thief immediately fled and disappeared into the sky. The girl named Ahai then thanked Vast Sky, saying, "Thank you, sir, for today. I still have a task to take care of, so I must take my leave for now." Vast Sky replied, "It's just a small matter. When you are away from home, you still need to pay attention to your financial security." Miss Ahai, if you are an adventurer, can you accept my task now? I am heading to the Western continent, and the journey can be boring. I'd like to find a few people to chat with. At this moment, Vast Sky thought to himself, I want to learn more about this world. I should talk to some local adventurers first. Ahai looked surprised as she gazed at a bag full of gold coins. Her eyes lit up with golden light, and she immediately agreed. Azure Sky couldn't help it. "My lord, can't your subordinate chat with you?" Vast Sky replied, "Behave and hide properly. If I let you out and you appear again, you won't be able to follow me in the future." The scene shifted. At this moment, the two of them had arrived at the post house in Freedom City. From afar, he could already hear Ahai waving. She shouted, "Young master, the carriage is ready. Just in case, we can't attract too much attention, so we have to make do with the young master sitting in this carriage." Then she introduced the companions traveling with the young master. A man named Ahai, first-rank middle-stage Taoist wearing a green Taoist robe, and a woman named Mary, first-rank earlier-stage holy priest wearing a nun attire. Vast Sky, seeing this lineup is truly amazing. Having a martial artist, a Taoist, and a priest together, it's really strange. Could this be the legendary warrior-mage-priest triangle? Soon after, Vast Sky embarked on this legendary journey with this peculiar group. In the carriage, Ahai talked on endlessly. Azure Sky sat alone at the back of the carriage, lost in thought. "Miss Mary," Vast Sky asked at this moment. "Are you a nun of the Holy Light cult, Miss Mary?" Mary replied slowly. "May the God of Light bless you, sir." At this moment, Vast Sky thought to himself, "So it's the God of Light." The God of Light, in the previous 2 eras, both reached the celestial realm pinnacle. Even so, they did not have the opportunity to fight against the Heavenly Dao. The God of Light of the first era was still killed by Azure Sky. Azure Sky probably doesn't even remember it. After all, the powerful celestial stage expert, who died at her hands, was at least 80 out of 100. At this moment, Ahai, who was driving the carriage, asked, "It's rare for people to spend money on chatting now. Does the young master not have any bodyguards?" Vast Sky replied, "The bodyguards are not as skilled as me." "Ahai, as expected, your demeanor is so restrained that it has practically disappeared. I can hardly feel your presence." Vast Sky, at the first thought, I was too careless. I was actually discovered from the breathing clues, but it's just that Vast Sky was being careless. This faint trace of breath has spread to the earthly realm. At this moment, in a cave in the earthly realm, a young girl is being held captive. When she caught a whiff of the scent of the Vast Sky, she weakly replied, "This is the breath of my lord." At that moment, Ahai suddenly shouted, "Everyone, look! There are many refugees camped on the roadside ahead." Mary looked out the window and explained, "These refugees should be the former slaves released because of the dark shadow in Freedom City. They have nowhere to stay in this city, so they can only wander in the wild. The dark shadow is indeed a nightmare for slave traders. I wonder how many people have died at the hands of the dark shadow." Vast Sky asked at this point, "So do you think those shadows are right or wrong?" Everyone present suddenly fell silent. Only Ahai said, "Of course this is right. Think about it carefully. Compared to long-term suffering, sacrifice is only temporary. What they have lost may be the shackles, but what they have gained is the future." This statement is like voicing Ahai's innermost thoughts. She suddenly stood up and shouted, "You're absolutely right. The shadow did what I wanted to do the most." Mary also added, "Unfortunately, the shadow cannot rescue the slaves who have already been sold. Let us hope that the God of Light can save these suffering souls." Vast Sky then asked everyone, "Do you believe in the existence of gods?" Ahai chuckled and said, "Instead of believing in such things, why not learn some spells to protect yourself?" Ahai also agreed, saying, "That's right. It's better to rely on oneself than on others. We can't sit around all day relying on gods to save us. We must work with our own hands to carve out our own destiny." Mary, feeling indignant, then said, "If there were no gods, how would you explain the need for sacrificing live humans to pray for rain in a remote small country in the eastern continent?" Vast Sky, upon hearing about the need for sacrificing live humans to pray for rain, asked Ahai, "Don't they have rain-summoning spells?" Ahai thought Vast Sky was joking with him. He incredulously replied, "Even the outstanding 5th-rank experts can't make rain, let alone covering a whole country." Vast Sky, puzzled, said, "Just let a 3rd-rank Taoist draw a flying ice talisman to cool the clouds, and it will rain. Can it be so hard to find a 3rd-rank Taoist in a whole country?" Ahai turned around in surprise and said, "Huh? Can it rain when clouds get cold?" Ahai and Mary in the car burst out laughing after hearing this. Azure Sky was furious when he heard the joke about our leader. Vast Sky quickly intervened to protect Azure Sky and calmly defuse the situation. Do you really want to argue with a few kids who don't even understand basic physics knowledge? Azure Sky grabbed Vast Sky's hand, eyes sparkling with stars, unable to speak fluently. Vast Sky bravely pulled back his hand, planning to jot down a note in his own memo pad as soon as he turned around. He wrote down the most important note. The crowd did not know how far they had traveled. Night fell. He also used magic to light a pile of bonfires. Vast Sky on the side watched the system. There are 3 third-rank demonic beasts nearby. The number of first-rank demonic beasts is even greater. There is also an undead army, any one of which could easily wipe out this small team. He finished watching and went straight into bed, indifferently saying, "Just do nothing, I'm going to sleep and you stay on standby." Azure Sky took a glance at the vast sky and fell asleep, filled with all sorts of improper thoughts. But just then, a board slapped Azure Sky's head, abruptly interrupting her impure thoughts. She picked it up and read, "No night attacks allowed, consequences at your own risk." This made Azure Sky collapse on the ground and burst into tears, as if she had lost her dream. At this moment, Ahai and Ahai, who are responsible for night watch, are bathing under the moonlight. After this mission is over, we will return to our hometown and tell our parents about getting married. After speaking, the two embraced each other. Good times are always short-lived. Ahai looked incredulously at the forest, the undead army emanating a dark aura. Then he shouted loudly, "Everyone, wake up quickly! There is a situation outside." Just getting up, Vast Sky walked and stretched lazily, complaining, "Is there no end to this world? Is this the basic function of the 6 realms of samsara? There are too many undead, aren't there?" The system then popped up with a prompt saying, "Yes, but it's broken." Vast Sky grabbed the system and exclaimed, "No way! How can this thing still break? Can you explain it to me?" The system responded, "In the beginning of the first era, the former Heavenly Dao evolved reincarnation at the cost of its own power to balance yin and yang. However, at the end of the first era, reincarnation was destroyed by the powerful Ghost Emperor and Xianxia at the heaven-defying King stage." Vast Sky angrily said, "They are so powerful, why don't they just pierce through the sky?" But in fact, they did pierce through the sky, and the chaotic aura surged into the continent, causing unimaginable casualties. After hearing that, Vast Sky let out a long sigh. Now I kind of understand the previous Heavenly Dao. Indeed, sometimes force cannot solve problems, but it can deal with enemies. At this moment, the undead army has arrived in front of the crowd at Vast Sky. The leading skeleton's eyes are emitting green light, and it surprisingly still retains some consciousness, frightening everyone to shiver in fear. Mary's face turned extremely ugly. "We might all die here." There is a 3rd-rank undead dragon, a 3rd-rank death knight, and countless undead soldiers. Mary fell to the ground in terror, praying for divine intervention to save them. Vast Sky couldn't bear to watch any more. He emanated an aura as majestic as the heavens. His eyes glowed with a hint of determination as the undead exclaimed, "Are you sure you want to be my enemy?" His imposing aura surged towards the undead, like a tide, as some skeleton soldiers rushed forward to attack Vast Sky. They were instantly chopped into pieces. The leading undead looked at Vast Sky, trembling all over. He said in horror, "The strong should not be attacked." Vast Sky listened and said cleverly, "Indeed, just like the dragon, individuals with strict hierarchical distinctions." Upon discovering a danger that could potentially destroy the entire tribe, he decisively killed the undead without hesitation. The system popped up to add, "In fact, it's not killing because they have already lost their lives." Vast Sky quickly interrupted, "All right, stop. I understand. I will rebuild the cycle as soon as possible." The leading undead are not to be trifled with. Vast Sky never said he would let Ahai and the others go. The undead army immediately surged towards them, and Ahai and the others had no choice but to rise up and resist the attack. Vast Sky, looking gloomy, said, "I hired them to have a chat with me. Until they complete the task, you can't harm them." After saying this, he stomped on the ground with a loud bang. The earth split into 4 or 5 pieces, stretching for tens of miles. As intense as an earthquake, more than half of the undead army fell into the abyss, never to be reincarnated. Ahai and his group were left in a state of shock. What a terrifying power! He's too strong. Vast Sky could see at a glance that there was still a person hidden in the pile of bones. He spoke to the pile of bones. "You don't need to hide. You're the leader, aren't you?" After he said that, a girl emerged from the valley of bones. She trembled all over as she bowed to Vast Sky and said, "I am Emer, a member of the necromancer cult. I sincerely apologize for disturbing your rest. Please forgive me, Vast Sky," he said somewhat bashfully. "Not bad, not bad. Quite polite. After all, I'm not an unreasonable person. Besides, this is unclaimed territory. Anyone can pass through. You can go now. Be more careful in the future. Not everyone is as easy to talk to as I am." The girl nodded repeatedly in appreciation. Then she waved her hand and shouted, "Quick, get out of my way!" The undead army all knelt on the ground, instantly creating a path for Ahai and the others to follow behind Vast Sky. The scene before them all felt unreal. Ahai said, "I never thought that in this lifetime, a third-rank Death Knight and Necromancer would kneel before me. It feels like a dream." Mary, walking at the back, finally couldn't hold back and shouted, "Master, we can't just leave like this. Letting them go will only result in more people dying at their hands. You are so powerful, you should wipe them all out." She hurriedly rushed towards Vast Sky. She is clinging to Vast Sky and continues, "By eliminating these evil beings, you can uphold justice and light in this world. You will become a hero, and everything you do will be remembered and passed down." Vast Sky is not buying it at all. He turns to Mary and says, "Are you suggesting that because you're stronger, you have to eliminate them? Are you really a follower of the God of Light? In the eyes of the first-generation God of Light, undead are just creatures that dislike sunlight and wander at night, although they follow a different path. But they are by no means evil existences. All beings in the world should be equal, regardless of their beliefs or race. Isn't it twisted to rely on one's own strength to destroy those who have different beliefs and thoughts?" When Vast Sky finished speaking, Mary lowered her head in shame and was at a loss. At this time, Ahai stepped forward and said, "Thank you, sir, for saving us no matter what. Throughout the journey, you have been protecting us. We should repay you." But when Vast Sky heard this, he said, "You don't need to repay me with money. Chatting with you is very enjoyable, and it also gives me a direction." So he opened the memo. He added a religious belief to it. He then turned and left saying, "I have other things to do next. Let's part ways here. By the way, just a reminder that God exists. But in my opinion, they are just stronger individuals. As long as you can reach that stage and surpass them, you will be seen as gods in the eyes of the world. Goodbye for now." After speaking, he disappeared from the spot and appeared in the sky above Azure Sky. There, with a puzzled expression, he asked, "My lord, your subordinate does not understand why you want to save these unreasonable mortals." Vast Sky replied, "If you want to correct chaos and revive the Heavenly Dao, mortals are the most important assistants. Even though they are just small changes, it is crucial. But small steps lead to big changes. Putting people first. Do you understand, Azure Sky?" Azure Sky responded vaguely, "I understand. I think I understand." "Where should we go next, Vast Sky?" Vast Sky immediately snapped his fingers. The surroundings were instantly surrounded by gusts of wind. He said, "Let's go to Earthly Realm." At this moment, in the Earthly Realm, there were lightning and thunder, corpses scattered across the fields, and restless spirits wandering everywhere. Zombies were aimlessly walking everywhere on the ground. Suddenly, a black hole appeared in the sky. Two beams of light shot out and directly hit the ground with a swoosh. Vast Sky and Azure Sky walked out from it. The system appeared at this time. The system said, "This is the Earthly Realm, one of the three great realms that govern the cycle of death and rebirth." Vast Sky, upon hearing this, the individual responded, "Oh, really? But what I see is only ruins, death, and garbage everywhere." He looked up at the sky again. Currently, the Earthly Realm cycle is in a broken state. Vast Sky Azure Sky instantly teleported to the side. Just as Vast Sky was preparing to reshape the cycle, the system interrupted him. The system said, "Although you can rebuild the cycle, it will consume a lot of your power during creation. You will become very fragile during this time. For example, you can withstand a full-force strike from a celestial stage pinnacle expert, but you would be injured by the second strike. Most importantly, you should not be affected during the process of rebuilding your cycle of reincarnation. Otherwise, it will fail." After careful deliberation, Vast Sky looked towards Azure Sky next to him. He smiled and grabbed Azure Sky's hand, supporting her waist and lifting her up. Then he said, "Now I can only ask you to help me. Let me borrow your strength to reshape the cycle together." After saying that, Azure Sky's body emanated a greenish flame. The flame was continuously absorbed by Vast Sky. A powerful protective shield formed instantly around. Vast Sky looked around satisfactorily. He said, "Then, let the reshaping begin." He grabbed Earthly Realm reincarnation, and strong beams of light shone from the protective shield. The skeletons and zombies on the ground all looked up towards the sky in unison. A pair of hands, with only white bones remaining, reached out from the pile of bones. A skeleton sat up from the pile. Don't underestimate this little skeleton. He is the formidable Ghost Emperor, a powerhouse at the heaven-defying king stage. The Ghost Emperor looked towards the direction of the vast sky and said, "That is the radiant light of reincarnation, the Heavenly Dao, actually repairing the cycle of reincarnation. How is this possible? Back then, Xianxia from the desolate heaven ancient city fought with me for control over reincarnation. In the end, he managed to take half of the power for himself. But as a result, reincarnation was damaged. Since then, the earthly realm has become the scene as it is now. Clearly, the previous two eras of Heavenly Dao turned a blind eye to the earthly realm. Why is it that in this era, he suddenly wants to reshape reincarnation? And now, the Heavenly Dao has changed its appearance. What kind of tricks is it playing again? But if I act recklessly, I'm afraid I'll be crushed in an instant. Just wait for those guys to all be resurrected. The success rate will be higher then." After saying that, he continued to play dead. Just as Vast Sky had just begun, several figures instantly appeared around. The newcomers are all top experts from the earthly realm. Now we can enjoy a good show. Inside the protective shield, Azure Sky looked with disgust and said, "My lord, a few flies have arrived." Vast Sky smiled slightly and said, "No need to be distracted. I have my own arrangements." He then snapped his fingers. A dark shadow of Vast Sky appeared outside the protective shield. "I'll leave the rest to the guards," the emotionless shadow said. "I'll give you two choices. First, retreat the way you came, or second, be annihilated by me, the earthly realm experts." They had no idea who they were facing. He shouted, "Just bluffing. I'd like to see how strong you are. There's no need to mention the rules, right? Whoever grabs it, it's theirs." This time, the primordial ferocious beast Xianxia did not appear. The chances are even greater now. The dark figure said coldly, "What a group of greedy people. No wonder the first era and the second era chose to destroy the world. But playing with you guys shouldn't hurt. Stretch your bones a bit." Just then, a figure suddenly appeared behind the dark figure. It turned out to be a celestial stage archmage of the netherworld Cultivation. He immediately used a move, 100 times gravity, and blasted it towards the dark figure. The dark figure was directly smashed to the ground and said, "Is it actually gravity magic? Quite interesting. Unfortunately, with just this kind of magic, you can't stop me." Just as the shadow finishes speaking, a figure rushes out from the side. Being able to hold you back for just a second is enough. The newcomer is a rat-folk assassin of the celestial stage middle stage from the netherworld cult named Slort. He transformed into a beam of light and shot straight towards Vast Sky. Just as Slort was feeling very pleased with himself, a dark shadow teleported behind him, grabbed him by the collar, and pressed him down. With a bang, Sword has sunken into the ground, forming a deep pit. Then, the dark figure said angrily, "Just playing with you guys, don't be too excessive." Upon hearing this, the powerful individuals from the earthly realm became enraged, and all charged towards the dark figure. The dark figure, seeing them approach, looked at them with disdainful eyes. The dark figure said, "Then let me show you. In the face of absolute strength, any action is futile. All of you kneel down." After speaking, the dark figure casually flicked his fingers down towards them. All the powerful beings of the earthly realm instantly smashed towards the ground. The powerful pressure made them unable to move at all. At this moment, a figure riding an ancient dragon appeared in the distance, laughing loudly, saying, "Earthly realm, it's been a long time since I've seen such an interesting person. I want to see how capable you are." Coming here is actually a late-stage celestial stage skeleton. Knight 1 skeleton is said to be the first and strongest Eastern dragon knight before death, and after death, his will did not scatter, but condensed into dragon knight. Currently, he is one of the top figures in the entire earthly realm. One skeleton confidently declared, "Those who stand in my way shall die." After speaking, he unleashed his star-absorbing skill. He absorbed the surrounding undead corpses. Even powerful beings from the earthly realm were drained of their essence. Then he unleashed his most powerful secret technique. He rushed towards the black shadow. Just as one skeleton was about to get close to the black shadow, bite in 8 directions. A sandbag-sized fist appeared straight in Wong's skeleton's line of sight. Before he could react, it had already landed on his face. A powerful force burst from the shadowy fist with a loud bang. A huge beam of light instantly formed and engulfed Wong's skeleton. The dark shadow instantly moved behind the 3 people who were about to escape. The 3 people immediately noticed and quickly turned around to kowtow and apologize. Before they could say anything, a bright light appeared in the sky, diverting everyone's attention. Where the bright light passed, everything was purified. The surviving earthly realm experts looked on in disbelief and said, "This is truly incredible. These are laws that we could never comprehend in our lifetimes." Rather than saying he is manipulating the laws, it is more accurate to say that he is the embodiment of the laws themselves. The only one who can achieve this is probably. The shadow interrupted their speculation, saying, "There's no need to guess anymore. You will soon know the answer." Immediately, a light several hundred times stronger than before radiated from the location where vast sky was located, instantly illuminating the entire earthly realm. The walking skeletons on the ground seemed to be reversing time. They have grown skin and flesh again. The unjust souls scattered in all directions and disappeared almost entirely. The azure sky gazes contentedly at the restored earthly realm, where the cycle of rebirth continues. He said with relief, "Now the earthly realm can operate normally, right?" Meanwhile, peals of silver bell-like laughter emanated from a pile of bones. It is truly worthy of being Heavenly Dao to effortlessly restore the souls and spirits of all beings in the earthly realm. Thank you so much, Heavenly Dao. The one who said this was the Ghost Emperor, whose flesh had just recovered. As the scene changed again, the strong presence from the earthly realm looked at everything in front of their eyes in disbelief, and said that the souls of the undead were all restored. According to reason, once a soul is broken, there is no way to recover unless it is the Heavenly Dao. Just as they finished saying this, the dark figure disappeared. Vast sky appeared in front of them. The strong person in the earthly realm quickly turned his head to look. They asked fearfully, "Are you the Heavenly Dao? Are we not dreaming? The real Heavenly Dao? I still remember the catastrophe of the Second Era and that sense of despair. I never want to experience it again." Vast Sky responded by asking, "I have a question I want to ask you all. Many of the strong ones have escaped from those 2 catastrophes. Can you tell me what's going on?" Earthly realm strong ones listened. They said with a dark expression, "It's the mystic realm. As long as there are enough resources within the mystic realm, they can withstand the power of the apocalypse." Vast Sky suddenly realized, But do you have the power to resist the Heavenly Dao by banding together? In the second era earthly realm, although it is barren, there are at least over 100 celestial stage experts. One of them, with a fearful expression, said, "Although we resist the Heavenly Dao together, in the end, only dozens of us will survive." I dare to ask, why did you trigger the catastrophe? Vast sky, it seems like I am destined to carry this blame. I can't possibly say that I was robbed to become the Heavenly Dao, can I? He could only reply, "Your level of existence is more or less at the pinnacle, inevitably touching on the bottleneck of the law." But the power of law is not something everyone can possess. When those who don't have it see others who do, competition among you will begin. The opportunity of the Heavenly Dao is meant to be equally distributed among all living beings. But it is gradually being dominated by a small group of the powerful. For example, the cycle of reincarnation in this earthly realm is being contested by Xianxia and the Ghost Emperor. Ultimately, the damage to the cycle of reincarnation in the earthly realm has led to the current tragic situation. Therefore, the apocalypse is to allow more people to survive. Otherwise, it would have been completely destroyed long ago. Upon hearing this, many powerful individuals in the earthly realm were deeply touched and remarked, "In the past, we were too focused on enhancing our strength and completely neglected other aspects. Perhaps this is our destiny." At this point, Vast Sky interjected with a remark, "Even the strongest individuals make mistakes at times. What's most important is how to correct them." I will give you a chance now. Would you like to join my organization? Upon the utterance of Vast Sky, the three powerhouses of the earthly realm were instantly taken aback. Before they could even speak, Azure Sky on the side discontentedly said, "My lord, these people are weak and unworthy to accompany you." Vast Sky explained, "To maintain the order of the Heavenly Dao, what is needed is the collective effort of all beings in the three realms. Although they may seem weak in front of us, they are already considered pinnacle existences within the three realms. By the way, I will also inform you that the current cycle is not perfect. The cycle has a natural mechanism to absorb souls. Weak souls can be directly absorbed into the cycle. However, for beings at the Divine King stage and above, the guiding force of the cycle is not as strong. This is when we need you strong ones to forcibly hook these souls into the cycle. I call this position Death's Harbinger. The organization's name is to be called Yama's Court. Will you be willing to join Yama's Court? 3 of us haven't decided yet." Only to see Azure Sky on the side already exuding a terrifying aura. She looked kindly at the 3 of them. 2 of them nodded quickly. The other person hesitantly said, I can pledge my loyalty to you. But I have a condition. It's fine as long as you can heal my injuries. This is the damage left by the attack of the primordial demon wolf. It requires the life tree of the elven forest to repair." Vast Sky anticipated this a long time ago, replied, "Okay. After that, I indeed need to make a trip. I promise the conditions you mentioned. Things are almost sorted out, but Yama's Court still needs a manager." Azure Sky then made a suggestion. "Abyssal Sky is definitely the best candidate to manage the earthly realm." Vast Sky stared at the information about Abyssal Sky that popped up on the system. She was described as a strong later heaven-defying cultivator at the first era heaven-defying stage. The incarnation of the sky, refined from the corpse of the Abyssal after his death, was killed by the sword of the frozen demon emperor. You can use the backup of information about Abyssal Sky in your body to resurrect her. The system had just finished explaining, and Vast Sky immediately teleported away, leaving the 3 people standing there confused. The next second, Vast Sky arrived at the sealed location and looked inside. Only to see Abyssal Sky locked inside, unable to move, with chains everywhere. Vast Sky simply ignored him, and walked straight to Abyssal Sky. In his mind, he thought, "The corpse is still intact. Even though she is sealed, the aura emanating from her body is even stronger than Azure Sky." The system adds that among the 5 incarnations of the sky, Azure Sky's strength is the weakest. Vast Sky thought, "Fortunately Azure Sky can't hear what the system said, Otherwise it would be troublesome. Let's not talk too much nonsense. Let's quickly revive Abyssal Sky. The system prompts that reviving incarnation of the sky will require the consumption of the origin power of the Heavenly Dao. This power will be permanently given to the other party, and cannot be taken back. Are you sure you want to revive Abyssal Sky? Vast Sky pondered deeply after hearing the words. To permanently give it means that if she dies again, my power will also permanently disappear. In that case, I do need to handle this carefully. Let's allocate 1% of the power to you. All right. Saying this, Vast Sky slowly began to emanate from her own forehead. Release the power, but just as it was taken out, fierce winds whipped around, and the ground shook as if the mountains were trembling. The powerful coercion instantly spread throughout the entire earthly realm. Even the previous top 3 powers of the earthly realm were affected, reaching as far as the distant valley. Ghost Emperor shrank back, leaning against the ground, thinking to himself, could he have discovered me? At this moment, Vast Sky finally noticed. He grabbed the power he had taken out and thought to himself, I didn't expect that just 1% of the power would be so terrifying. Indeed, the Heavenly Dao can do as it pleases. Then, he explained in a panicked manner that he had forgotten to conceal his breath when releasing the power. After saying that, he squatted down and pressed his power against Abyssal Sky's chest. His hand slowly merged into it. In an instant, a brilliant light shone, and the chains binding Abyssal Sky all around began to shatter one after another. Abyssal Sky opened her eyes. Under her thick black eyebrows were a pair of bright eyes, as if they could penetrate the stars and directly hit your soul. Abyssal Sky looked at Vast Sky, and the two of them stared at each other for a while before Vast Sky could speak. Abyssal Sky had already pounced on Vast Sky, just like a reunion of family members. She said tearfully, finally reunited with you. My lord. The heartwarming scene was interrupted by a figure. Azure Sky stepped in between the two. Abyssal Sky also noticed his own actions. It was a bit abrupt. She immediately knelt on one knee and said, thank you for your grace, my lord Abyssal Sky. I won't let you down this time. Upon hearing this, Vast Sky replied, by reviving you this time, there is a task I need to assign to you. From today on, you are the highest administrator of Yama's court. Build and maintain Yama's court to ensure the safety of reincarnation. Abyssal Sky respectfully complied. I obey. Your command is everything to me, my lord. She looked pitifully at Vast Sky and asked, doesn't my lord want to stay in the earthly realm? Vast Sky comforted Abyssal Sky by patting his head and saying, you are my incarnation of the sky, so be confident in everything. I have already set up the cycle of reincarnation. You just need to prepare well for the position of Yama King in Yama's court that I have arranged for you. Abyssal Sky is comforted. Return to the path. Subordinates understand. Then take a deep breath and shout loudly at the entire earthly realm. All beings of earthly realm, listen well. I am the incarnation of the sky Abyssal Sky, the future ruler of Yama's court. I will assist the Heavenly Dao in managing the entire earthly realm. Skilled craftsmen in their lives will help with design and construction. The tall undead will be in charge of construction work, while powerful undead will serve as death's harbingers to reap souls in the human realm. Those who do not comply will be considered enemies of the Heavenly Dao. Vast Sky has walked a considerable distance at this point. He turned back with contentment and said, this Abyssal Sky is quite capable. It seems that entrusting Yama's court to him shouldn't pose any problems. Azure Sky then asked by the side, my lord. Next, where are we going? Vast Sky replied with a firm gaze, Elven Forest. The scene suddenly changes. At the same time, a wide road is bustling with traffic. A fierce-looking person in the team burst into laughter. This time we caught some top-quality elves. We can definitely make a lot of money by selling them all. Inside the carriage, there was a fair and beautiful young elf girl huddled in a cage. At this moment, the man in charge said, we can't let our guard down now, not until we've left this forest. We must remain vigilant at all times. The man speaking, named Sabine, is the leader of this group of thieves. His combat power is at the 3rd rank. But these words actually make his subordinates more relaxed. Not long after, they walked onto a wide road surface. A lonely figure stood not far away. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a black figure. The black figure suddenly extended its arm. The black figure pointed towards the cage where the elven girl was being held captive. The black figure then conjured a cavalry spear out of thin air. The black figure then slammed their hand fiercely onto the ground. A summoning formation appeared beneath the black figure's feet, only to see a gigantic creature slowly rising from the formation. A thunderous roar came from within. It turned out to be the 5th-ranked dragon god race. The imprisoned group of elf maidens seemed to see hope, thinking it was the great elf. The Lord God is coming to save them. The girl curled up on the inside seems to have discovered something. Her heart thought that if it was sent by the main god of the elves, it should also be an angel from the elf classic. But this shadow. At this moment, the leader Sabine shouted at the black shadow, "I don't care where you're from. If you want slaves, we can give you 2. The black figure across shook their head and said, "Only children make choices. I want them all." This statement immediately made everyone in the team furious and they yelled, "What joke are you playing? Do you know we're here to capture these elves? Do we have to take such big risks to come to this elven forest? Even if you're a 5th-ranked dragon knight god, so what? And my earth dragon isn't suppressed by bloodlines. You must be a fake. Brothers, don't be afraid. Attack!" At Sabine's command, the men rushed forward. The dragon under the dark shadow had condensed a light ball in its mouth. Then it roared and sprayed towards the approaching group of thieves, instantly killing them. The whole body is charred, roasted to achieve the 3 Michelin star chef's favorite crispy brown texture. The shadow and the giant dragon charge into the crowd again, colliding and rampaging. The thieves' group is instantly wiped out, bodies scattered everywhere. A dark figure charges straight towards Sabine. Sabine and his little dragon sit slumped on the ground, trembling all over. He stammered, "Don't come over here." The dark figure raised his hand, and the knife fell swiftly. Swish, swish, swish. The cage containing the elf behind Sabine instantly shattered. A dark figure slowly approached the young elf girls, just as the girls were about to speak to express their gratitude. Just then, Sabine seized the opportunity of the dark figure's back turned and launched a surprise attack. The dark figure didn't even look back, casually swatting away the incoming cavalry spear. The next second, Sabine was pierced through the chest by the dark figure's attack. He was knocked down to the ground, blood pooling around him. The surviving thief, who turned tail and ran at the sight of trouble, but before he could run far, with a swish, an arrow shot through his forehead. Here comes the 3rd squad of the Legion of the Tree Shepherds at this moment. The leading elf looked in the direction of the shadow and said, "It's that dragon knight who saved our companions." The remaining bandits were also subdued one by them. One of the elves pressed down a bandit. He angrily said, "Humans are truly despicable. When we return, I will sell all of you to the nobles." The dark figure turned its head upon hearing this. Immediately, the dark figure transformed into the appearance of the elf. The dark figure turned around, drew a bow, and shot an arrow. This action left the group of elves stunned in place, glaring at the dark figure with malicious looks on their faces. All members get ready for battle, just as the imminent battle is about to break out. The elf girl who was saved by the shadow before stepped forward and shouted, "Stop! Don't fight anymore. He didn't do anything wrong. I can feel that he is fair to everyone. From the moment he appeared until now, he has only attacked those who engage in human trafficking, whether they are robbers or the warrior who just arrived. So as long as one does not engage in human trafficking, he will not attack proactively." The leading elf understood a lot at once. "So that's how it is." He immediately shouted, "Attention! Everyone stop capturing prisoners of war right away!" Just as he finished shouting, only a dark figure stood up and slowly disappeared into the air. At this moment, vast sky above looked at everything happening below, nodding in approval. At this moment, soul shadows appeared behind him. The soul shadows landed on the ground, revealing their true forms. It turned out to be Death's Harbinger, and the soul of the deceased drifted out. Death's Harbinger immediately used shackles to lock around the soul's neck and flew towards Yama's court. It seems that Yama's court and the cycle of reincarnation are operating very smoothly. This is the elf's capital city, Vitality Citadel Kayak. The just rescued elf girl and others were sent here, responsible for cleaning the city, as the elven race does not support idleness. The girl, seeing no other choice, had to agree. She looked at everything before her, feeling both familiar and strange. "I'm finally back," she thought. Just then, a carriage passed by her. The girl looked back at the carriage going away into the distance, as if pondering something. A foot stretched out from the carriage as it came down.